Now that we know when to fill out an incident report and where to find it, let's go over what it looks like and how to fill it out. But before we dive into the details, let's review some common acronyms you'll come across, both in this training and in the incident report itself. ISP stands for Individualized Support Plan, which outlines the care and support a client receives. DSP is the direct support professional. That's you. You're responsible for supporting clients with their daily activities. Sometimes you'll see IR for incident report. This is the form you fill out whenever an incident needs to be documented. PPI is physical protective intervention, and these are actions to protect somebody from harm. OIS refers to Organ Intervention Systems, which we'll discuss in more detail shortly. PBSP stands for Positive Behavior Support Plan. The PBSP is a document that outlines strategies for managing challenging behaviors. You may on occasion see PBIP, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Plan. This is much like a PBSP, but it's usually iOS specific. You may also see FBA, which is a Functional Behavior Assessment, which is a process for identifying the reasons behind behaviors and creating the strategies that are incorporated into the Positive Behavior Support Plan. You may also see BTS quite often, and that's us, the company, Better Together Supports. RICO is specific to our company, and we use that to shorten our relationship coordinators. You may also hear or see EdSpec, which is for our education specialists. I'd like to go a little more in depth on what OIS stands for. The Organ Intervention System, or OIS, is Oregon's state training program that teaches support staff how to apply positive behavior interventions and supports, or the PBIS, and other interventions when supporting adults and children with intellectual or developmental disabilities who may display challenging behaviors. OIS is the property of the Oregon Department of Human Services and may not be reproduced without its permission. DSPs that need OIS training will take it through a state-approved training program. For direct support professionals to receive OIS training through our company, it must be included in the Positive Behavior Support Plan, or PBSP, as identified in the Individualized Support Plan, or ISP. Your relationship coordinator, education specialist, and service coordinator will work together to ensure that DSPs receive this training when it's required. BTS will pay for this training, and DSPs will be able to clock in. The training is worth 16 hours of continuing education units. We will count this towards your total of 24 hours of CEUs for the year. It's important to be mindful of your OIS training status when filling out an incident report. You will only fill out the PPI section if you have OIS training. If you do not have OIS training but used physical interventions, you'll mark emergency physical restraint. Emergency physical restraints should only be used if your client was in imminent and immediate danger. Now that we understand the common acronyms, let's take a look at the incident report itself. The incident report is designed to capture key details about an event, including what happened, who was involved, and any interventions used. Let's go through the main sections of the report so you'll know exactly what information to provide. If you have any questions about completing an incident report after today's training, please reach out to your education specialist or relationship coordinator for support. The first field to fill out is your first and last name. Ensure this is your name and not the client's. Next, enter the date the incident occurred. Make sure this is as accurate as possible. Then provide the time of the incident. It's okay if you're not entirely sure of the exact time. use your best judgment to get as close as possible. Next, estimate the duration of the incident. Reflect on how long the situation lasted from start to resolution and input the approximate time. After that, provide the location of the incident. Be as specific as possible. For instance, if it occurred at a store, include the store name and location. Go further if possible by specifying a section, like customer restroom or clothing department. Avoid general descriptions like happened at the store. More detail ensures accuracy. Then enter the client's initials. This should include the first two letters of their first and last name. For example, if the client's name is Frodo Baggins, you will enter FRBA as the initials. The next section of the form asks what type of incident happened. You can select multiple options if that's appropriate. There's also an option for other if it's not covered in this incident list. As a reminder, all serious incidents must be reported to the BTS executive staff within 2 hours of the incident. The incident report form is designed to prompt you to contact executive staff if the situation involves a serious incident. Additionally, any incident involving restraints, whether an emergency restraint or an identified intervention using restraint strategies, must also be reported to executive staff within 2 hours. If you are injured during the incident, we also ask that you notify us within 2 hours to ensure appropriate follow-up and support for you. The next section asks whether PPI was used. PPI refers to techniques for managing behaviors that could cause harm, but only when the client's ISP includes PPI and the DSP has completed OIS training will you click yes. If the client's ISP includes PPI and you've had OIS approved interventions, you will select yes. Be specific about why the intervention was necessary and the type of PPI used. If you have not completed OIS training or are unsure what PPI entails, do not select yes. You can ask yourself a couple of simple questions here. Do I have OIS training? And do I know what positive behavior intervention and supports are included in my client's plan? If the answer is no, you will not be filling out this section. The next question asks if emergency physical restraint was involved. This should usually mean OIS approved interventions. However, if you needed to physically restrain a client to prevent immediate harm, such as preventing them from running into traffic, select this option. Emergency restraint should only be used in situations of imminent danger. If you checked emergency physical restraints, describe the restraint fully in the incident description section. Include details on how you intervened to prevent a dangerous situation. So what happened shortly before the incident? This is referred to as the antecedent or what occurred directly before the event. The purpose of this section is to help identify the function of the behavior. Clearly describe what led to the incident, such as an interruption to their routine, frustration, or a specific trigger. The next question asks for what directly caused the incident. While this may seem similar to the antecedent question, here you need to specify the final trigger that set off the incident. The previous question described the broader context, whereas this question focuses on the immediate cause. After describing the cause, detail what happened during the incident. Be as specific as possible, sticking to factual, observed events. Avoid speculation and provide a clear, linear explanation of the incident from start to finish. So let's look at an example of what this might look like. Here's my example that I came up with. Frodo comes home hungry and wants to make a sandwich with his favorite peanut butter. This is the antecedent, or what happened shortly before. Frodo discovers that all of his peanut butter is gone and there's nothing to make a sandwich with. This is the specific trigger. Frodo becomes frustrated and he throws a plate. This is the incident. So here you can see I have the antecedent, the specific trigger, and finally what happened as a result of that. In this next section, you're going to list everyone who was present during the incident. Include names and their connection to the client, such as family members, staff, or other clients. If the incident happened in public and specific names aren't known, use terms like general public or store employee. For example, in Frodo's case, you might list the gardener, Mr. Gamgee, and the gardener's son, Samwise, as being present. The goal is to provide as much detail as possible about who was there. Next, you'll describe how the incident was resolved. Focus on facts. For example, Frodo calmed down after being offered a different snack and resumed his normal activities after 5 minutes. Avoid speculation and stick to what actually happened. If the client was able to return to their day normally afterwards, include that detail as well. Lastly, there is a section for you to reflect on potential solutions using your experience with the client, any shift notes, or how the situation ties to the client's ISP goals. This is where your insights are valuable. For instance, you might suggest ensure preferred snacks are stocked at home, or provide Frodo with options when certain items aren't available. Noting effective strategies or observed patterns can be very helpful for future situations. Lastly, you have 2 options when working on and submitting the form. If you're not ready to submit, you can save the form as a draft. This allows you to close the form and return to it later using the provided link. Be sure to save that link and remember to come back to complete and submit the form. And don't forget it needs to be submitted within 24 hours of the incident. Once you've completed all sections, hit Submit. This will notify the relations team that the form has been submitted. Choose the option that best suits your progress, but don't forget to submit the form once it's finished.